Hey, what's up guys? Let's talk about Fooly Cooly Progressive episodes 3 and 4, because that's what you do when you're behind on your reviews and want to save time. So with episode 3 we have stone skipping. Now there wasn't a whole lot in this episode that really stood out to me, but I will give my thoughts on a couple things. And of course here's my spoiler warning for those of you who haven't seen the episode yet. I like that we got to see the main guys in this series a little bit more doing their own thing together. Of course that would be Ide, Marco, and Mori. I really like the way they did things with Mori and how he apparently hired this girl to be sort of his rent-a-date, and I enjoyed how that part of the storyline was sort of a setup for something much bigger. Of course, when it's revealed that she doesn't talk how she does and she doesn't really act how she does, but she also is the daughter of what looks to be pretty important character. Something about that guy, he looks quite familiar. Apparently his name is Masaru, but he definitely looks a lot like Commander Amuro, despite his one missing trait being those eyebrows.
I don't like it spicy.
Those eyebrows.
We'll see, that hat is a bit suspicious. He might be hiding something under there. Not to mention the guy in the previous episode makes an appearance as codename Eyepatch. I really like what's going on here, and I'm hoping we get more of that in episodes 5 and 6. I am very intrigued by a lot of the conversation that we see from Jinyu and Haruko. Even though I pretty much feel like I know exactly who or what they're talking about, they put just enough mystery to make it seem like there might be something we're not completely sure about. I will say the one thing I feel like that's really missing right now from Progressive is the audio isn't quite as loud as it needs to be as far as the music. Hopefully they mess with the sound mixing a little bit to get it pretty close. Anytime there's a great Pillows track on, I just feel like it needs to be louder. I really want to hear them. Or some of the sound effects, like when Haruko would hit someone with her guitar, it's just not quite there. But we'll see, maybe this will be fixed in the future or in the Japanese version. I think the pacing was improved in episode 3 compared to the second one, and it seems like it's only getting better as we go into episode 4. Now one thing I thought was a lot of fun about this episode, which I believe is pronounced LooPQR, which was the way they switched around things with Hidomi, where she is instead not quite the sort of, quiet and antisocial that she normally comes across, and instead she's just extremely happy and hyper all the time. As we saw that her headphones apparently got stuck, which forced her what they call NO channels to be pretty much locked in, bringing out her subconscious thoughts where she's a lot more happy inside instead of her outer, more shy appearance. Now I will say so far this is the best episode of Fooly Cooly Progressive, I would say. This one really gave us that real close glimpse of the Fooly Cooly of old, especially when it came to that really fantastic fight sequence. But before that we also had some fun moments where we see that Marco apparently really likes the new happy Hidomi, and he decides to get a new job so that he can get her a gift. He apparently takes on a job where he becomes a tester for amusement park rides, which made for some pretty silly but also a lot of fun moments. I like that we got to see Aiko again, which led to us seeing more of Masaru and Eyepatch. This was really cool because we actually got to see Kanti in this episode, albeit he was actually not functioning and seemed like he was even crucified. But that in itself is very interesting, and I'm wondering if it's foreshadowing anything. Oh, and can I get like an actual count for how many times Ide yelled Heba Judi throughout this whole episode? I didn't really notice it, and it didn't really bother me the first time, but as soon as I realized how many people were noticing it and I saw it the second time, yeah, he says it quite a bit. But it was all in good fun, and it made for some pretty fun moments, especially when he's like floating through the air trying to catch up to her as this car is just falling through the sky. This is all happening during this big fight sequence between Jinyu and Haruko, which ends up being a pretty decisive outcome. As from what we can tell, it looks like Haruko actually devoured Jinyu and is now back to being the regular Haruko of old with her classic pink hair. I like this because it really put into perspective how different Haruko is acting in these first 4 episodes compared to the original show. When at first I would just think, okay, it's a new show, she's obviously not going to be the exact same character and there might be some differences here. When really, she was actually a different person because of what happened during the events to lead up to this series. All I can say is that I'm extremely excited for episodes 5 and 6 now that she's back to normal, and things look like they're only going to get crazier from here on out, which is exactly what we all want from Fooly Cooly. Alright guys, what did you think of this episode? I really like Progressive, but I can tell that there are a few things here and there I'm really hoping will get resolved or hopefully updated. It's not quite the Fooly Cooly of old, but at least we're getting more and they're doing the best job they can. Who knows, these last 2 episodes may really make the series come full swing. So until then, my name is Dylan, and if you enjoyed this review, subscribe to my channel while the video ends and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching and stay diligent.